And my name is Hugh Richards. So I've been YouTubing since I was 12, and my main passion is about helping other people learn about growing their own food, etc. What about you?
Well, we've had a YouTube channel. I look back and I think it's something like 2008. But it was kind of a bit relaxed and organic because mainly we published Permaculture magazine and Permanent Publications books, which is over 100 titles now. And the YouTube was always a bit ancillary, and we'd be a bit casual and put stuff up and then ignore it. And then suddenly I thought, well, I really ought to check my stats, and I found that we'd had something like 2 million views in this casual period of time. So there was this guy called Hugh Richards living in Wales, and I thought, well, he's clever. Let's ask him how to do stuff better. So about a year or so ago, Hugh came over to us and helped us redesign our channel view page, and just started giving us a bit of advice and tips.
Thanks for inviting me. It's great to be here. And so I'm calling in from Crystal Waters in Australia, and I've been here for about 21 years. And I've been teaching permaculture for about, 25 years or something. And when I had a young family, I realised that there was only a limited amount that I could get out and do education. And I stumbled across this idea of doing films that I could be in my home and in my community and share stories about what we're doing, and share stories about the people who came to meet us, and share stories who were going out into the world. And so, similar to what Maddy's saying, very quickly I realised that, we've reached 2 million views. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And I think that for me, it's become a really important tool to be able to reach so many more people with the positive and practical stories that permaculture offers. And I think that's even more important now, particularly because of, things like climate anxiety and the solutions that we need in the world. And I think this is a really important tool that people can take to understand bigger picture and to bring it into the local. So I run something called Our Permaculture Life. That's my YouTube channel. And my first film was back in 2007. And I made it such a mammoth thing that I stopped for ages. And then my brother's a filmmaker, and I said, you've got to teach me how I can shoot a film, edit a film, and upload a film in a day. And so I flew him up to spend time to train me up to do that. And that's kind of what I focus on doing now.
Brilliant. And we also have Charles, who I believe started permaculture at 16. So I can relate with that. So tell us a bit more about yourself.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me now.
Perfect.
So I'm happy to be here once again, and I would like to thank you guys for organizing this event. I'm calling right from Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, where the River Nile begins, from the Lake Victoria to the Mediterranean Sea. So with the videos in Africa, social media has just become popular in this 20th century. It's not something like fundamental that we have adopted for a long time, but also we can agree that today in East Africa and to other countries of Africa, we have a fast rate growth of internet use, and also people getting to the media, YouTube, all these accessories of media. However, on my own perspective, I've been using making videos, simple videos with my team as a result of pitching our project. At the same time, we have been trying to focus on advertisement. How do we advertise our programs? How do we tell some of the key? We have not come to a point that we document everything, but we have come to a point that we document a few achievements. We feel like really this needs to be documented. However, we now recognize that having visual data in every process of project development remains a very, very fundamental issue or fundamental focus, because it's the only way you can really justify when time passes. It's the only way how you can justify your project. It's the only way how you can really prove that something was done before. So me as a person, I'm very good at writing scripts, and I have a team that does the editing of the videos, but I also do, I have the creativity to imagine how I can look at the product and say, no, this is not good, this is not good. So I'm good at editing scripts of the videos, at the same time trying to make the story much more better, and to condense it to be much more, more summarized, whereby we can be able to make a video of 2 minutes, 3 minutes, in that kind of sense. And we have been also getting much more advanced media use from Morag. When Morag, I want you to congratulate Morag. Last year she visited me. She came to Africa. Yeah, so, and we did a great work here. And we are trying.
Charles.
Hello? Hello?
Matt,
hello, I can't hear you. Hello? You're breaking.
Can you hear us, Matt?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Introduce yourself.
Oh, hey everybody! I'm Matt Powers. I don't mean to interrupt Charles or anything, but I'm here now. It's wonderful to be included. It's an honor to be included in this incredible program, and it's wonderful to be with people I know and love, like Charles, Morag, Maddy. It's just an honor to be included here. But Charles, keep going.
No, what we're going to do?
No, I'm almost done. Yeah, I was almost concluding. Yeah, it's fine. You can continue.
So what we're going to do, because I know some of you have got up really early or are staying up really late, is for you to spend about 5 minutes giving your tips to people and finish with a bit of information. And I'm going to let you know when you've got 30 seconds left, okay, just to make this all work. So if we start again with Morag, Charles, and then we'll finish with Matt. So go for it, Morag.
What about Maddy? We're going to start?
Oh,
You're right?
We're afterwards.
Oh, so okay. All right. Okay. All right. So there was a few questions that I know that that we were talking about covering, and so that was about sort of what kind of content, what kind of how to activate an audience for YouTube, and then also what are some of the tips for actually creating the video. So I thought I might try and touch on a few of those different things. I mean, in order to actually think about what content, I think from starting out with the YouTube channel, I found that it was really useful to be quite clear that it had a focus. And this was something that I learned, that rather than trying to do absolutely everything in the show, to be really quite clear and structured, and the best ones. And when I tracked which videos did well and which ones didn't, it was always the how-to ones. It's always, imagine someone asking a question. They're Googling a question. They're going, how do I make compost? How do I do a no-do garden? And so if I thought about the questions, and then I kind of took myself into a workshop environment, thinking, because I do probably about at least 100 face-to-face workshops, and I imagined I was at one of those workshops and someone sidles up to me at the end and says, ask the question, what are those questions that people are always asking me? What are the questions that people always seem to want more information about? And then choose that as the key topics, which then underpin what I do. And the relationship building with the audience too, I think, is one of the key things to making it a successful thing. And always asking within the video too, let me know if there's something you'd like me to cover and also getting people to give feedback. So it's really about, what are people asking for and what do they want to hear? And then tracking whether that's working well. And always staying really positive and upbeat and practical, and because people will only tune into you if they find that they're actually getting some value out of watching you. If they're getting depressed from watching you, or they just find you go on about nothing, or you have this massive great intro and then finally there's one point at the end. So I try and just get bang into it straight from the start, and be consistent. I think that's the other key thing, that there's a consistent relationship that you're building over time. There's regular movies that come out, a regular format, a regular look about them, and I think that really helps as well. Some other points, I think a thing is just to be really authentic, to be really natural. That, when I'm talking behind a camera, it's almost like I'm just having I'm just having a cuppa with you. What is it that you'd like to know about? And you're in my garden with me. So I often have my husband, who's on the other side of the camera, and either with the tripod, or often just with a good steady hand. And so I have a conversation with him about what it is that's going on. And I think the more natural and the more conversational and the more in your own authentic voice, I think the more that people will relate to it. So from that perspective, I think it's a voice, and an actual voice too. Like when you're talking up in a high voice, or you're really fast or really slow. It's being like, being in your own space and just comfortably. So when people are listening, they're feeling like it's something that's interesting, that's calming, that's enlivening, all of those things together. So in order to do it, this is my equipment. I use an iPhone. Actually, most of the films I've done on a 5S, like a little old phone. As long as the sound is good, I've found that seems to be the key thing. People don't mind a bit of, bad video if the audio is really good. So I think that's the key thing to start, to make sure you've got some good sound equipment, just a simple lapel mic, and things like that. In terms of marketing, I think one of the key things that I found that really supports it. So, I'm nowhere near where you are, Hugh. I'm up to about 40,000 subscribers on my channel at the moment, which is a reasonable chunk of people. But it just slowly grows bit by bit.
30 seconds. Sorry.
30 seconds. Thank you. So the key thing that I found with that is that really just sharing out. Every time I do a YouTube channel, I share it on blog, I share it on the Instagram, I share it on Facebook, and I let people know through my newsletter. So everything is integrated as a whole.
And what is one final tip you would give, which you have found to make the biggest impact for your videos?
To connect with people, to listen and respond, and speak as though you're a part of a community and that you're connected.
Brilliant. Over to you now, Charles.
Yeah, so I will not repeat what Morag said, and those were very, very good tips. And I have a list of a few other recommendations. Is having a very, very defined focus. At the same time, connect. You have to have the passion. You have to have the passion to do it. Then the natural beat comes out of you when you do it. At the same time, also to have, like for the case of Africa, I would like to focus much more on the context of Africa, where we have no equipment, to get all what you need, like maybe a 4S. I'm lucky, maybe I can have it, but so many people don't have any of these kind of gadgets. They have these small, the SD phones, the small ones, button phones. So you find that the growth of technology use and video development is very, very low. So here in Africa, when you have to be sensitive to culture, because people are easily offended by culture, when you are making videos, some of them you have to request them and you have to convince them, or you have to tell them the reason why. The other thing would be much more of making the best video in our context of Africa is people don't know. So in most cases, we want to tell the story. And sometimes the story is very, very having, everybody would want to say a lot of things in this very short period of time. So editing scripts, it is advisable you write the script before advance, because people are not really, they just come and talk. So on our side, if I'm making a video, I would need to prepare these people in advance. I have to, like yesterday, I had to move to the field to let them know, and I gave them my script. I told them, these are things I would like to have you, tell us about the course you learned last time. In the couple of years, we did the course with them. So, and we have to go back. They feel much more comfortable. Otherwise, you may not get a good video because people here are not used to cameras. They are not used to cameras at all. So they will become very nervous. They become very uncomfortable. So that is a perspective of someone coming down here, or me, anybody doing a video with the community. And in my experience, having a better video is a focus on one topic at a time. Because I've tended to do previous pitches, and you find I pitch 2 products in one video, which becomes sometimes boring for people, for clients, or for anybody who's listening to the video. So I feel focusing at one step at a time, or at one topic, like a Morag mentioned, is very, very crucial. Sound is very, very crucial. Sometimes I preferably don't like editing videos, like doing a lot of edit. So that requires you to have a very better equipment, or something very, very, with a good megapixel to take a very good video. So it is in Africa, you'll find few of these kind of videos, very few. Sometimes before I did the videos, I had to outsource expatriates to come and work with me. I write the scripts, then they do the work. So time to time, I learn how to make it better. But the best experience you can do is to do it, to try it, because sometimes the first time I started making video, I was very, very nervous. I couldn't like it to listen to myself. Like, I would always be anxious to listen to myself, how I'm talking. So it's very tricky. Sometimes you can be much more self kind of, but it's important to be natural, to have the passion, to speak from deep of the heart, then it becomes much more easy. Yeah.
And what's one final tip you would give to someone? What is the one thing that has made the biggest difference for you?
I think one biggest thing that I've really learned on my side that has made my videos a bit better is to focus on one topic and go find all means to get the details out. Demonstrate within, such that someone has a very clear, if it is a book, he will really know where it begins and where it ends from. That's very important, because it will tell the story very clear. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Charles. And finally to you, Matt. Over to you. What were your tips and bits of advice?
All right, so I'm going to start off like really general, and then we'll move to more specific and equipment side of things, because I'm a firm believer that it is your story, your connection, your authenticity, and your state that really drives everything. Some videos you'll find on the internet are very poor quality, but they've got millions of views because there is something that people see themselves in there, and they have an emotional connection. They feel alive when they watch it. They feel like you are opening a door for them. You're letting them see someone they could be. I think it's a very special, almost like this could be an almost sacred thing, a reverential thing that you could bring. It's a service, really. And so for me, I was a public school teacher, and so I come from the service perspective. And number one, you have to have fun. Because if you're not having fun, they're not having fun. And if you're not bringing that joy, they're not going to feel it. And so it's really important, I believe, that whatever you're doing, it's like congruent all the way through with who you are, which brings us to number 2, which is you say what you know to be true. And it has this like depth to it. And then that just leaves you with using what you already use, doing what you already do. So you end up doing stuff that isn't too hard, stuff that you can readily explain, and stuff that's right outside your door or right outside your back door, and just like that leads into the next one, keeping it simple. This was already said, but it is absolutely a best practice, so it's worth saying again. If we keep things simple, we'll be able to get our message heard. Because if we bring in too many things, we widen the bandwidth on that message, you're going to drop pieces, parts of it are going to get misunderstood. It is that keeping it simple that actually has comprehension go up. So the more simple communication we can get, the more showing and not telling that we can do, the more comprehension will go up, the more the message will be felt, the more people will understand where you're coming from, why you care. And then number 4, this was also mentioned before about being consistent. But this was mentioned in terms, I think, if I remember correctly, it's early for me, in terms of like video quality. And that's of course true. But I'm pretty inconsistent with my video quality because I'm sometimes with my phone, sometimes I'm with a nicer camera. And you can use those moments to tie into the next step, but it's more about being consistent like every day. There's an algorithmic truth to the way these channels develop. If you are putting in, like I call it paying the meter, if you're putting in even a small video every day, the algorithm will reward you on these programs, and they will put your video into that fresh mix, and it will reach more new people, and your growth will increase and be rapid. And then plus on top of that, that consistency of practice is incredibly important. If we don't get those hours in, especially in a daily practice sort of way, you never will be able to get to that higher level. All of us know, if we've mastered anything, we become an expert at anything, that it's that daily practice that builds that comprehension. If anything's been difficult for you, let's say math, and you don't do it every day, and then you start doing it every day, and then you see how much leverage you have in your ability to deal with that difficult thing, you know what I'm talking about. So the final things that I want to say, though, because I'm probably running low on time, is it's this authenticity.
45 seconds into
story. What?
45 seconds. So 45
seconds. Okay, perfect. So the key to all of this is the story. So it's got to come from who you are, from your day, from what you actually care about. And if you can link those things together, who you are, the things that you know to be true, and put it into keep it simple, a simple story, you will find an audience is waiting for you, is receptive for you, and will consistently tune in and subscribe. And you will grow as a storyteller. And don't worry about, videos and equipment and like all the, the fancy audio and stuff like that. I didn't have that at first. And you know what? I don't think I really was good enough to like handle all the complexity. And it's only when I was getting better did these things sort of flow into my life. So wherever you are, focus on your story, your connection, your community, and why we're really here, which is permaculture, permanent cultures. Thank you.
Thank you. So on behalf of everyone here, I just want to thank you all for coming, but you haven't seen the audience here, so I'm just going to, go for it, Tim. Turn it around.
Hey.
Wrong guy. Sorry.
Hey, Tim.
Say hello, everyone. So yeah, thank you very much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye. Enjoy your day.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's a really good way of teaching yourself a practical skill. So that is going to be a really good hitting video, and here is an absolute master of that, because that's really the basis of your channel, is to get people to grow stuff who think they know nothing and they can't do it, and you demystify it, and you make it really simple, and it's fun, and it's accessible, and it's not just like cloth cat growing stuff for oldies. It's, you know, it's very contemporary, but our YouTube channel is really different. So our YouTube channel is not designed necessarily to be clickbait, and I'm not implying that you are, but So what we're trying to do is a little bit different. So we do have how-to videos, how to sharpen a scythe, and how to identify pollinators in an orchard, and all this stuff. But we're also curating ideas. So I was talking yesterday about Extinction Rebellion and fear and active hope and these kind of ideas. And the idea of our YouTube channel is slightly different, because ultimately what Tim and I are trying to do is grow a collection of ideas, so that you would go to Permaculture Media and you'd want to find something about herbalism and hedgerow herbalism, or you'd want to go and find something about, like, okay, where did the Extinction Rebellion come from and where is it going? Or you might want to look at something about, you might find Drew Dellinger, you will, giving you the hieroglyphic stairway poem, which is the most incredible poem about climate change. And what did your great-grandchildren ask you? What did you do in this time of crisis? It's a heart-rendering, beautiful poem. That is not how to YouTube. So it is there, our channel, to explain in its sort of fully featured way the elements not only of permanent agriculture but permanent culture. So we're trying to bring in that fully featured dimension. So it's slightly different. It's like a collection or a library. It's more of a magazine, funnily enough.
No, that's interesting, because Tim, we all also have to make a living and have a career. So do you also see the YouTube channel as a funnel for other things, business-wise? Or?
Yeah, very, very definitely. I mean, it is about telling the story and inspiring people. We do... so the end product, on top of all that, is that we hope to filter people into wanting to know more and investigate permaculture in various different ways, but also to come to Permaculture magazine, where in far more depth we can do the storytelling and the inspiration, and thereby help us earn a ethical permaculture income at the same time. So yes, it does many jobs on many levels.
It's meant to sell subscriptions and books by very special authors.
So what we will do is very soon we're going to break out into two different sessions. So Maddy and Tim are going to speak a bit more in depth about how they're using their YouTube channel, but I'll do a session about how to get started if you have no idea what to do, and then we'll come back and do a bit of a Q&A, okay? But I'll just tell you a bit about my story and the power of YouTube. So 20 years ago, if you were the only person in the village who loved knitting, you'd feel a bit isolated, because you'd have to travel far to try and meet other people. Now, what the internet has allowed you to do is connect that one person who likes knitting with all the other persons in the millions of villages of the world. So it means that we're connected, and when you look at nature and the soil food web, you see all of those different connections, and that's that's kind of the positive side of the internet. And I know a lot of people against social media, but it's how you use the tool. It's like you can use a car in the wrong way, you can use a knife in the wrong way, you can use the internet in the wrong way. So for me, I think it's about being adaptable and adapting to what is happening, and not enough businesses are adapting to the needs and the requirements. And so my YouTube channel it's pretty big now. Online in total I've got over 30 million views and quarter of a million followers, and that was all made just through creating free content for people. So I spent a bit of time creating free videos, and I've managed to get this following. Now, what does it mean with this following? It means you have a degree of influence, but it also means you can make a living from it. And I think one of the most important things as well, in terms of values and principles, is that of diversity. So I actually have around 5 different income streams based on something that I've created, which gives people free information. And there's over a century and a half of total watch time now. So it's so great to know that I've given a century and a half of free information to the world, to kind of leave as a legacy. And something that, if you're looking more on the business side, you're trying to build you up, it's focusing on you as a person, because businesses don't really do you don't like to make business with another business. You don't like to do business with another person and connect with people, not with faceless businesses. And now the kind of trend is becoming a personal brand. And yes, of course, you can have the Permaculture magazine, etc. But people know who Tim and Maddy are, and I think that's really important, because you can associate with the person, you can't associate with a business. And the strategy that I'm using is a thing called content marketing, where you create free content, and there's kind of this boxer saying where you go, you jab, 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 and then you throw the right hook. So the idea is the jab, jab, jab is you're bringing out really high quality content for free, and then the right hook is like, okay, I've got a book, buy it. And people are like, okay, yes. The reason why is because it's called the thank you economy, and it's a whole new way of looking at business, because the thank you economy is about providing value for people, and people just feel so grateful that they want to give back. And the great thing about that is you don't have to just pester and beg people ever to join your courses or to buy books or anything. And as an example, I was just working it out, but the book that I had come out in March has been the best-selling vegetable gardening book this year in the UK. And so it's quite amazing to see that happen, and all of the opportunity. But we're going to break out into our sessions now, and then we're going to do a bit of a Q&A. But hopefully it just makes you start thinking about other things, because I know it's a real struggle trying to make a living in this area. But if you can bring a degree of building up a personal brand and a bit of an online presence and knowing how to do it, and I'm really happy to try and mentor you guys. But yeah, I'm just really passionate, because it's something that isn't really spoken about, but it's a tool that is basically free to begin with, as long as you've got a smartphone. Okay, so in terms of the breakout groups,